Originally released in Japan in January of 1997, the title hit North American shores 8 months later in September. The Shinra company has taken control of Gaia's Mako energy and is now using fear and intimidation to tighten its grip on the world. The story begins when Cloud joins a resistance group as they attack one of Shinra's Mako reactors. Stepping away from the previous 6 games of the series, Final Fantasy VII used full polygon rendering for all monsters and characters. The move from 2D to 3D was a giant step for the series, sending shockwaves through the gaming community. However, graphics were not the only features to be improved upon. The revolutionary materia system introduced a new method of developing characters. By fitting their equipment with materia, characters could cast spells, use special abilities, and boost attributes. And just as characters gained in level, so too did materia, unlocking new, more powerful options. To ride a chocobo, players had to first find and engage one on the battlefield, then lure it into their party. In this installment, Sid assumed the role of a lance-wielding airship pilot, his aerial attacks being some of the most powerful in the game. Another beloved feature was the colossal theme park, the Gold Saucer. While not only being an important part of the story, it was also a place where players could take a break from adventuring and try their luck at several unique mini-games. One of the most exciting attractions being the chocobo races, in which players could participate after raising their own chocobo. Bahamut also made an appearance in Final Fantasy VII, lending his power to Cloud and the others in not 1, but 3 breathtaking forms: Bahamut, Neo Bahamut, and Bahamut Zero. Final Fantasy VII has inspired a number of spin-offs. Advent Children continues the original story of Cloud in a feature-length, CG-rendered movie. Dirge of Cerberus follows the exploits of Vincent Valentine in a high-paced third-person shooter. Before Crisis uses the latest mobile phone technology to tell the story of Shinra's Turks. And Crisis Core reveals the events leading up to the original Final Fantasy VII. The second Final Fantasy title for the PlayStation was originally released in Japan in February of 1999, with the North American localized version debuting later that year. The adventure begins at Balam Garden, a futuristic training facility for young mercenaries. It is here that one of the cadets, Squall Leonhardt, learns of an evil force threatening the world and sets out on a journey that takes him beyond the boundaries of time. For the first time in the series, characters were designed in proportion to their surroundings. This allowed players to take part in an adventure more visually realistic than any they had ever experienced. Several dramatic new features were also introduced in Final Fantasy VIII, one being the junction system. Characters were joined with various beasts known as Guardian Forces. Over the course of the game, the Guardian Forces would grow and obtain new abilities. Another new feature was the draw system. To obtain new magic and improve attributes, characters had to draw magic out of various monsters. This complemented the traditional method of collecting experience points to develop a character. These two systems helped breathe new life into the often tedious task of leveling characters. In addition to the main hero, a second protagonist known as Laguna played an important role in the game's progression. By unraveling his story, players were able to take part in a grand tale. The airship appearing in Final Fantasy VIII was the Ragnarok. Not only a vehicle used to carry players across the world, the Ragnarok was also the stage for several of the game's important events. Chocobos again showed up as a convenient form of transportation. And by hooking up a pocket station to their console, players could participate in a chocobo digging minigame. Sid assumes the role of Balam Garden's headmaster, and while he does not join Squall and the others in battle, he often appears to guide them on their journey. The Japanese and North American versions of Final Fantasy IX were released almost simultaneously in the second half of 2000. One of the world's finest theater troupes, Tantalus, also happens to be one of the most notorious bands of thieves. Their current performance brings them to the Kingdom of Alexandria, where their true motive is to kidnap the young princess. The story begins as the paths of the thief Zidane, Princess Garnet, and a boy named Vivi cross. In an attempt to return to basics, Final Fantasy IX aimed to take on the fantasy color prominent in earlier titles of the series. However, this installment was not without new features. Final Fantasy IX introduced the active time event system, putting players in the middle of the action. Final Fantasy IX did not feature any job changing, as party members already had set professions, such as thief, dragoon, or black mage. Though by equipping items, characters could obtain various support abilities, giving players the option to further customize their party members. Final Fantasy IX also introduced a number of unique airships, such as the Prima Vista. Not only a vehicle, this grand vessel also became the setting for many of Tantalus's plays. Sid made his appearance as Regent of Lindblum, though in a different form than the one players had been used to. After being caught with another woman, his wife transforms him into an insect, and it is in this state that Zidane finds him. A number of mini-games were available to players who wished to take a break from the main story. From complex diversions such as the card game Tetramaster to simple activities such as jumping rope, there was something for everyone. Dedicated players could even unlock a feature that allowed them to use a chocobo to hunt for buried treasure.